Kai was born under the red sky, something unusual enough that the colony's records flagged it as medically risky. Most births happened in the pressurized maternity wards deep in the colony's core, where Earth normal oxygen levels and gravity could be maintained. But Dr. Sarah had predicted complications, and Kai's mother insisted on a surface delivery under the domes, where her child could see Mars itself at the moment of consciousness. Now, 7 years old, Kai was what the colonists were beginning to call Martian native. Not an Earth-born child who'd been brought to Mars, but a human genuinely born and raised in a lower gravity environment, adapted through development to the thinner air and rusty soil. There were 43 others like Kai, the first generation of children for whom Mars wasn't an alien world but a home. The older humans worried about this. Adaptation, even in children, raised questions about what humanity meant. Could these children ever return to Earth? Should they? Were they still human, or were they something else? Kai didn't think about such things. Kai simply played in the red dust, learning its patterns, understanding it as intimately as Earth children understood soil and grass. The first signs of the problem came from the atmospheric processors. Subtle degradation in their functions, nothing dramatic, nothing immediately dangerous, but a slow decline in their efficiency over weeks. The colony's senior engineers gathered for an emergency meeting. It's sabotage, they concluded, but subtle. Whoever did this wanted the degradation to happen slowly, almost imperceptibly. So by the time we noticed, it would be too late to trace the source. That's when the external communications picked up a transmission. Not from inside the colony, but from outside it. From the Vis Marineris, the massive canyon system that cut across Mars's surface like a scar. You have 24 hours to evacuate the colony, the voice said. Static, heavy, distorted, but unmistakably human. The atmospheric processors are sabotaged. In 24 hours, their failure will cascade. The colony's oxygen production will drop below sustainable levels. Evacuate or your children will suffocate. Colonel Webb's successor, Martinez, immediately began emergency evacuation protocols. But something didn't sit right. 24 hours was enough time for mandatory evacuation, but barely. It was a message that seemed designed to create chaos without quite destroying everything. Calculated, precise, and deliberately non-lethal if they followed orders. Kai was watching from the observation window as people rushed back and forth, carrying things, loading evacuation shuttles. "Why are we leaving?" Kai asked Maria, the geologist who was Kai's favorite adult. "There's danger," Maria said, but she was distracted, already planning her own evacuation. But Kai understood something about Mars that the older humans sometimes forgot. Kai had been born here. Kai had grown up breathing processed air from those very processors, learning them the way a child learns their home. The atmospheric system wasn't abstract technology to Kai. It was as familiar as breath itself. That night, while the colony was in chaos, Kai slipped out into the tunnels that connected the domes, the old maintenance tunnels that few adults used anymore because they were cramped and complicated. But Kai was small, and Kai had spent years exploring them. Kai reached the main processor node and understood immediately what the saboteur had done. The degradation was elegant, really. Small calibration changes, sensor modifications, nothing that would show up on basic diagnostics but would cause cascade failure when the system tried to compensate. And Kai understood something else. Whoever had done this didn't actually understand how the systems worked. They understood how to break them, but not how they lived, not how they adapted. Kai began to reverse the changes, small hands working with instinctive understanding. Not reversing them completely. That would take time nobody had, but compensating. Working with the sabotage rather than against it, recalibrating the sensors to account for the cascading failures, creating a workaround that would hold for days, maybe weeks. "What are you doing?" Kai looked up to find Martinez, flashlight in hand, staring in confusion. "Fixing it," Kai said simply. "The saboteur doesn't understand that the system's redundancy is its real strength. They thought breaking the processors would cascade. They're right, but they don't know the cascade can be directed, channeled, controlled if you understand the system's personality. Martinez stared at Kai, 7 years old, working on equipment that required PhDs to properly maintain, speaking with the casual confidence of someone who was simply doing what came naturally. Kai, step away, this is dangerous. It's less dangerous than evacuating, Kai said, not stopping. If everyone leaves, the systems all fail together. If we stay, I can stabilize them, compensate for the sabotage. Give you time to find the saboteur, time to fix it properly. Martinez wanted to argue, but she watched Kai work and something inside her simply stopped resisting. This child was doing something impossible with impossible grace. Something that came from being Martian not by choice but by birth. By adaptation. By belonging. By dawn, Kai had stabilized the system. Not fixed it, but stabilized it. The cascade was channeled into manageable decay rather than catastrophic failure. The colony had time. It took 3 days to find the saboteur, a colonist named Drake, who worked in the infrastructure division. Someone who'd apparently decided that Mars belonged to corporations and nations, not to humans, and that sabotaging the colony would force everyone back to Earth so proper authorities could take control. A child saved this colony? Drake laughed from his detention cell. That's impossible. Children don't understand systems. Kai understands systems, Martinez replied quietly. But more than that, Kai understands Mars, not as an abstract idea or even a place of resources. As home, as something that belongs to all of us now, the children especially. That night, they held a ceremony. Not anything formal, just the colony gathering in the main dome as the sun set over Martian horizon, painting the sky shades that existed nowhere else in the human experience. Kai stood with Maria and with Martinez and with all the others. We came to Mars for ourselves, Elena Volkov said, now serving as the colony's administrator. For science, for resources, for the idea of expansion. But Mars gave us something better. It gave us a reason to stay beyond ourselves. It gave us the future. She looked at Kai and the other native-born children. You are Martian, she said simply. Not in the political sense, not in the national sense. In the truest sense, you were born here. You belong here. And this world belongs to you in a way it never belonged to those of us who chose to come. Kai looked up at the rust-colored sky, at the thin atmosphere that was home, at the red dust that was being slowly transformed into gardens and cities and civilization. Mars needs us, Kai said, voice small but steady, and we're not leaving. As the children of Mars grew, as more were born under the red sky and in the thin gravity, something fundamental shifted about humanity's expansion into the cosmos. It wasn't about conquest anymore. It wasn't about resources or national pride or corporate profit. It was about children learning to walk in lower gravity, learning to breathe processed air as easily as Earth air, learning to see beauty in a rust-red horizon because it was their home. The universe would come to understand when humans sent their children to other worlds, when those children were born there and chose to stay, when they loved those worlds as homes rather than colonies. That's when those worlds became truly human. Not through force or law or domination, but through the simple, powerful act of choosing to belong. Kai was the first, but wouldn't be the last. Mars's future was being written not in military strategy or corporate contracts, but in the soft voices of children speaking their names under an alien sky and calling it home.